Okay, Teruvan Sarnai, everybody. Today's topic is going to be about this path and what exactly are the steps uh, and what exactly is this path and what exactly is to be done in order to follow this path effectively and what really happens as we go along the path. Um, yeah, so basically that's going to be it. Um, Vengunaya, do you want to start off?
Yeah, yeah. So I think the importance of today's discussion would be that we all understand that we all are in different stages or different places in the path, right? So one could be at the very start. Maybe they would be still not knowing what is the ultimate way how the world operates or how the mind operates, what is sansara, and why the sins are, what is karma pala, what is cause and effect, whether there is a mechanism like that, and whether if you do bad things, so apunya abhisankara, what would be the consequences. So likewise, someone could be there, right? Someone could be doing all the akusals and in such kind of situation, but someone could be uh, ha- uh, in mid pace. Probably they would have stopped doing akusal, and maybe they have started doing kusal, and they understand the cause and effect nature of the world, karma pala nature of the world, and they understand how the dukkha is created. Probably that is one stage. Someone would be you say that they are they've gone through the refuge of triple gems, or that is one stage. There could be some people who are in the sotapan stage where who understand understands how this me is built, how this cause and effect is really built, how what is the chaturara satya or the four noble truths, and who understands the vision of the correct vision, and who has removed all the uh, or he's like more convinced about what the process is. So likewise, there could be different people in different paths. So someone could be in the ultimate path of seeing the inside. So people see the world as an outside thing, right? But there is one milestone where someone would cross, uh, who would then understand the world is created inside, deep within. So that is another place that someone could be, and then there could be someone who's slowly understanding the real nature of the process, and how the concept of me is being built, and how you take it as a valued thing, and how you create the dukkha process, and slowly understanding and realizing it to slowly die down, so that one day you can eliminate bhava, tanha, hence you eliminate bhava, hence you would eliminate dukkha. So these are the different stages in this pipeline people could be already in. But the important thing that we need to understand is that what is this sequential process, uh, because like all the Lord Buddha, so there is one gatha or phrase which all Buddhas would have told to the world. That is called, I will recite the Pali chanting of that. Sabba papassa akaranam kusalassa upasampada sachitta paryodapanam etang buddhana sasanam. So the meaning of this is, in the first phrase, it mentions about sabba papassa akaranam. That means you get rid of all the I will let you know why this sequential process is important in the path. That I'll do later. But if you get literal meaning of the gatha, is that Sabba Papa Sakaranang, you get away from all the sins, the 10 sins, or maybe all the sins that you would do, either from mind, either from your words, or either from your the actions or the body. So these things, first people would start doing it as a what do you call it, a sealer, right? Like you take a sealer for a particular period, made the 8 sealer, the 5 sealer, the 10 sealers. So there are some practices in different kinds of Buddhism that people for a particular period, maybe it's for 8 hours, maybe it's for 12 hours, maybe it's for 24 hours. They take a sealer. So this is not directly the Buddhist path, but it's helping the path because it helps people to understand the value of getting rid of the bad things, getting rid of the sins. So people do it as a practice so that so they for a given period they would not tell lies. For a given period they would not like kill or like do any bad things to a living being, or may they would not thief from anyone, or may they would not like get intoxications of some nature. Likewise, they would have different Shila Pratipada, Shila recitals that they would do. So this would help them to understand when they are not doing those wrongdoings. That would help them to have a lighter mind, have a pleasant mind, have a like good feeling. So then slowly they get converted in their other days also. The for example, if you take this Sheila for a say the full moon poya day, you take a Sheila, but all the other days also you tend to think that Sheila day my mind was very pleasant, my mind was very light, and my mind was very good. It was good atmosphere in my mind. So why should not I do in the other days? So that person would slowly start this process in the other days also. That's when a person would be converted into a person who's having a real value set, a real kindness, real love to the world, real you say a person with values. So that's how that kind of person is built slowly in samsara. It can take eons, but slowly you would become a good person in the local in the normal world also. So in normal world also, when you become a good person, then slowly you understand this is a good thing, and then one day you will listen to this dhamma and understand this Sheila is not something that you should take. I mean, like for a particular period, you should protect it consciously. Then he would understand that this Sheila should be deep within his or her values, because that is like you understand the real nature of the world. You understand what are you chasing in the day-to-day life. You understand whether that is really valuable to do these sins or the bad things to the world and to collect things for yourself. So likewise, when you understand the basics of Dhamma and how the sansaric cycle is going, and how different people and different living beings are surviving and doing certain things, then you slowly understand this is not valuable to be done with sins or with wrongdoings. So then that person slowly would complete that first praise, which is sabba papasa akarana. So when you go get rid of these akusal, the 10 akusal or the related all the akusals, then you become a person who would be pre-qualified for the next part of the journey. Then you think about the kusala supasampada part. So I will just complete this praise before we move to the further discussions, because this is one four praise gatha. Kusala supasampada is that you start kusal, right? So you build your build into your life. So the kusal are the things that let me explain this part also. So after your sins or the wrongdoings, you get rid of them, and then you start doing good things. That is called pin. Pin, or I don't know, is it you have any other words you can explain pin to in English?
Yeah, what we would use is merit. Like it's merit.
Merit. Yeah.
Um, yeah. So the difference I want to say is, yeah.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
So the difference between pin and kusal. So basically, I don't think there's an English word which separates pin and kusal. So for the sake of this discussion, we'll use kusal as kusal and pin as merit. There's a slight difference here because all living beings, irrespective of being associated with the Buddha Sasana, can accumulate merit. For example, when they are good people, when they give to others, when they help society, when they help another human being, even helping our parents, our children, all these kind of contribute to us accumulating merit. Basically, things which are somewhat helping other human beings could be merit. Again, there are actually three ways to get merit. I think Vihungunai also mentioned. So, dana, that is giving, and sila, taking certain precepts or certain disciplines, and bhavana, and different types of meditation, which kind of even temporarily suppresses this may careless or this may desire nature. Um, anyway, the major difference between pin and kusal, between merit and kusal, is that kusal is directly related to nibbana. When a normal person does something good, consciously or unconsciously, he's going to be wishing for something in the world. Like, may I be able to be maybe it's a thought like, may my parents and all be happy, may my children be able to go to uni, may they all be protected today, may I be healthy, even things like this. What happens here is we kind of wish for a existence, we kind of wish for a future body and a life which will be healthy. So there's a difference between kusala. Whenever we do something good, even to another human being, we don't really wish for any of these things, not even from the back of our mind. It's directly directed towards ending suffering once and for all, and towards nibbana. So that is a major difference. So all activities which is done with the mindset of ending suffering once and for all is kusala. So all activities you do. So it can also be the same meritorious activities that you've done so far, but now you are not wishing well for your health or your family or anything like that. Not even for a profession or anything like that. Now it's directly towards nibbana. You are moving out of the world and directly directing your energy, directing your merit towards nibbana. So that is the main difference. The meditation you do will also be a meditation which is directed towards nibbana. All your actions which is directed towards nibbana is kusala. All your actions which is directed towards the world is merit or pin. So that is the main difference. Am I right, Vihunaya?
Yeah, I think that's correct. I just want to do a small correction. I think if you take the types of ping or the merits, so in Dhamma, it is said that there are like 10 kinds. So it's you can tell the main three as Dana Sila Bhavana, but there are, to be precise, there are 10 ways of doing merits. You can further refer, so those are called Dasa Punya Kriya, or the 10 types of merit actions, like Dana, Sila, Bhavana, Patti Pattanumodana is like you do merits and uh, you wish that like that would get absorbed to another person, and listening to them, telling them. Likewise, there are different 10 types of Dasa Punya Kriya, that's the 10 merit types. So either of them, as Usita rightly said, it could be done in a merit terms by expecting something good in the life in the future. But then when you build the capability of understanding the real nature, you then understand that these ping or these merits also would result in a dukkha imande. So that you understand that by doing anything, you should not expect a bhava or continuation of the sansaric cycle. So then you convert these actions into kusal. So kusal is, as Usita said, Kusal is that you would not expect, and you would only expect this as uh, the ending or the Nibbana or end of suffering. You don't want anything from this world as a result. So likewise, you convert it into Kusal. So likewise, so you stop sins, you get rid of sins, then you do start ping, and so these could happen parallelly, right? Like it's not that you 100% go rid of things and then start ping. It's not like that. Things could happen parallelly, but fundamentally you fully get rid of things, and then you fully um only survive with neutral things and the positive things, basically to like as a major thing, and then you start converting merits into kusal, and then kusal, when you build kusal, then you build prajna, the wisdom. So then you build a samma samadhi, then you build the sati. So that's when you come into position where you can easily do meditation. You can easily explore mind. You can see transparently through your mind. So that's the third phrase. Sachitta Paryodapanang. Sachitta Paryodapanang is you look, and you should be able to control the mind, and how the mind, you are conscious about the mind, you are conscious about your decisions, and that's when your eyes are with prajna, your eyes are with vidya. So that's when you are able to take decisions for liberation, for the cessation of sansaric chakra. So that's the important phase that we started discuss last day on the vidarsana part. That's when you start uh, working on the vidarshana, or seeing it into the deeper sense, and understanding the concept of mind, and how it takes you in the samsara, and how it would yield dukkha. So then you the third phase, when you start doing kusal more and more and more, these kusal would get joined into your lifestyle. So then it would become, you say it in Pali, you say it pratyaveksha. Pratyaveksha is that whatever the thing you do, you direct it to nirvana. You direct it only to end suffering. You do it only to end power, just for the sake of being here, because you are here until you have the nibbana or experience the nibbana. You should have your food, and you should drink, you should do your biological needs. So all those things you do, but just for the sake of having this body until you attain nibbana, and you would direct all the kusal karma, all the merits, everything to that purpose. So that's when your full life would be very conscious. Each and every time you would have the sati, you'd have the samadhi, and then you should be able to fully do the vidarsana properly, not even in the sitting meditation, but also in your day-to-day life. So that's when you should be able to control your mind, see the consequences, let go a lot of things, and understand the deeper sense of the value system. And that then the last sentence mentions etang buddhana sasana. So that is the methodology. That is the path. That is the shasana that any Buddha would reveal to the world. So that is the meaning of those four praise gatha. So which is a very important one. So there has been said that all the Buddhas in the world would be telling these four praises anyway. So that has been said. So that seems like a very simple kind of thing, but it summarizes a lot. It summarizes everything from start to end. Lot of things like Paticcasamuppada to Satara Satipatthana, to the Four Noble Truths, the eightfold path, all the things would be inside this path, the pipeline. So it is really important for anyone to understand where you are in the current process, and then what steps you immediately need to take, and what are the long-term measures that you would be taking to move through this pipeline, and then even let go of this process at the end. So that's the basic introduction that I wanted to give in terms of this path. there is one more point that I want to mention about having a clear, pure mind, which would lead you to have prajna. But before that, I think if we have anything further, I think we can discuss here.
Yeah. So until this point, are there any questions or such? Yeah, if anyone has any questions or wants to add anything or ask anything, please do so. If you are uncomfortable speaking it out, you can even like put it in chit chat. Okay, I guess not. Then Minguna, you can go to the next bit itself, no?
Yeah. So, so the next bit I want to mention is about the about a state of the mind which is called. It's in Pali. It is said that Vipilisara Chitta. Vipilisara Chitta is a chitta which is unstable, which is excited, which is regretting, which is you'd say it's not clear, it's not pure, right? So this Vipilisara Chitta is something which would stop you from going forward in the path. So until you get that Vipilisara, you get rid of that Vipilisara Chitta. So it is important that you start doing these good things, the kusal, the ping, the merits, the getting rid of the akusal. All the things would help. So in sansara, not yourself, not myself, not all the people we know, but even a great person like Buddha in the sansara would have done wrong things. Like it isn't said in Dhamma, in Buddha's life, the Gautama Buddha's life, he has experienced, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 11 such kind of things, because he did some wrongdoings in the past, probably eons back, but still the residual of those karma acted upon him. Because this the incident where he had this back pain, the incident where he had to do 6 years of dushkara kriya, the incident that he was hit by a stone, piece of stone into his finger of the little finger of the foot. Likewise, there are a few things he also would have experienced. So if you take a great personnel like Moggallana Thero, the one of the two main sangha of the Lord Buddha, he had a main one. He got parinirvana through getting busted through a set of thieves. So he which he has done something bad to his parents in the sansara. Likewise, so most of us, like almost everyone, would have done wrongdoings, would have done bad things in sansara, so would have done akusal in sansara. So those karma would yield in this bhava or in the next bhava or whatever, because it's just an energy, right? The karma is an energy. So if you have done karma energy in a previous bhava, definitely you will have that effect, the phala, in a subsequent bhava. So it's like if you lift a stone and if you put it in a tree, one day or the other, after years, after thousands of years, or it will come down. Someday it will come down because it carries gravitational energy there. It carries the potential energy there. So that energy should be released one day. So that's how the karma also works. Like how when you keep a stone, you throw a stone, it will come down and get a potential energy zero moment. The karmic energy also would would result someday. So this process we need to understand. What we need to understand is that this process will get implemented all the time. Only thing that we should at one point, maybe today, right? So if someone has not done this thing, we can do it today in the meditation itself. We think about all the eons that we've passed, all the bad things we've done, all the wrongdoings we've done to the other people. So that is something that is common for everyone, even for the great Lord Buddha. So that was something true in his past, maybe eons back, but it was true. So that we need to understand that there should be one particular point that we would understand these are wrong things. These would have yielded bad things to the others, and this could anyway would yield bad things to me. So that I should stop this process today. And you would have a milestone like that, and then you could have a strong willing that you should be getting rid of this adverse karma. So all the past karma would be yielding, even though you do this or not, they would result in a bad thing in the future or now. But from today onwards, someone could do that. So that's when your mind gets slowly start getting pure. That's when your mind slowly start cleansing. That's when you slowly remove the process of getting the regret in your mind. That's when your mind start get settling. That's when the mud in your lake start get settling. So that's when you start building this chitta without the vipilisara nature, the regret nature, the excited nature, the unclear nature, the disturbed nature. So then, so there are two predecessors that I can remember of. So one is that you, it is called that Kusala Shila is that you, as we said, so we have a Shila which is inbuilt because you need to do Kusal to Nirvana. So when you start doing this, everything in all from all the six senses, you slowly start building this chitta without vipilisara nature or the disturbed nature. And when you go through the process, the path, after understanding the core Dhamma concepts, then you start applying them to your life, right? So one time, 2 times, 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times, you apply these things to your life, you understand that these equations that Lord Buddha mentioned or the Dhamma path mentioned is correct all the time. Each and every time it's correct. So then you start slowly building the Shraddha or the belief about the Buddha. So this Shraddha also is one way that you can build this chitta without vipilisara nature or the disturbed nature. And the other one I mentioned is that Kusala Shila. You do the Kusal karma and from all the six senses you do them. So you start building this vipilisara, the chitta without vipilisara, the disturbed nature. So that being said, so if you have that, then the process becomes very easy. Then the process automatically takes you to the next place, which is your mind would get the happiness or the good vibe in the mind. It's called pramudita bhavaya in Pali. It's called the the happiness feeling in Pali in English. So in this preeti or the happiness of mind would deal in the lighter sense of your mind and the body. Your body and mind would get a very relaxed nature. So this is in Pali, this is called passaddhi. I'm mentioning these words because someday you would, if you see these words in some reading or something like that, then you would be able to relate them. But if you can say that your mind and body would get very relaxed because you have not done wrongdoings. You have done all the good things, and even from that you don't expect anything in return. So that's when your mind and body get relaxed. That's when your mind and body gets in a very relaxed state, where in a relaxed state you start building sati of your mind, the real awareness of your mind. Then it converts into samadhi, to samma samadhi, where your mind becomes in a constant kusal chitta. Your mind would be in a constant kusal chitta throughout a particular time, That particular time is called a samadhi of a chitta, of a mind. So that mind would yield you in building your prajna or the wisdom, and that wisdom would help you to see the world as it is. Because the world you see before that is not seeing as it is. It is through a mesh. It is through a glass, which is a colored glass. You don't see it as it is. You get deceived. You get you don't see the real picture of the world. So when you have the samadhi mind, you build prajna, you start doing vidarsana in your day-to-day life, you automatically it happens. Then you see the real nature of world, a real state of the world. And then when someone sees the real state of world, real state of mind, real state of building of this sansaric chakra, that day that person would let go things. That day that person would be able to be in vidya, be in the truth of the world, be exist in the truth of the world. That place he got liberation from all the dukkha, through get liberation from all the worlds, through all the bhava. So that is the process. So that fortunate day would come if you do all these predecessors only. At the last, it is not something you do through effort, but to come to that exact point, you have to start going through this process of getting rid of kusal, start doing merits, converting the merits into kusal, and then start building your this chitta or the mind without the disturbances or the vipilisara nature. Then to build the happiness of the mind, then to build the relaxation of your mind and body, and then to build sati, the awareness, then to build the samadhi, and then to realize through prajna. This is the sequential process. This is the sequential process I mentioned at the start with the Sabba Papasa Akaranang Gatha. So, so it is important to understand that chitta without the vipilisara nature or the disturbed nature is a core milestone or core predecessor to yield in this samadhi, prajna, or the vidya. So that is the thing, the other thing that I wanted to mention today, because one would be wondering why even though I sit to meditate, why even I start to realize things, why doesn't that come to my mind? Why can't I see it through vidya? Why don't I have the wisdom or the prajna to see this, to act upon this? Some people understand this fully, but they can't apply it into your life, into real world situations. So that is the reality. So if someone is going this path, I'm sure that whoever who listen to this would able to relate it, because that is the truth. Everyone is in some place of this path having some issue to go forward in this path. That's why they are stuck there. So you need to understanding this full path from start to end. If you understand this process, then you have a sense of how you should process through the next 10 meters of the path. So you can't, if you are in Colombo, you can't directly go to Kandy. You have to first go to Kadavata, then to Ambepusa, and then to likewise. I'm just taking an example from Sri Lanka, but I'm sure that if someone is in New York, so if that person wants to go to California, so that's the same thing, right? So you have to pass the cities. So that's when you have to think your next 10 meters, next 100 meters, next kilometer. So these paths you have to go through. So that's why I mentioned about the sequential path today, because if someone understands this well, then that person would know what to do next. What I should do to get this chitta or the mind without the disturbed nature. If I have that, what should I now do? Then I should practice like this. So likewise, I think if you can, if someone is not in Desana and maybe in halfway through, you can listen to the full Desana, so that if you understand the starting process and the end process, I think maybe we can, Usita, we can do another Desana probably maybe we can record something about the sequential process with that tree example. So if you understand this part, I think whatever the questions or the blocks that you have in your meditation would also be get solved. So this is the core that I wanted to mention today in terms of the sequential path. So because it's covering the full path, it's a very deep and a broad spectrum. But this is the essence that I wanted to give today for the betterment of your path. We can discuss if there's anything that need to be clarified here today at this point as Q&A. So do you want to add anything? Or?
No, I think you covered almost everything. But thank you very much for that. It was very useful for me also, because some of these points here, I don't think we hear enough. Because even though we know, like, I mean, up to a certain extent, we know the Vidarshana aspect, to know that the nature of how itself the path develops. I think that's also another important thing, which if we get a sense of it somewhat, we can actually know how to go in it ourselves, and what is needed to be done. Yes. Anyone has any questions? Yeah, I have a particular question with regards to, if it's possible, can you explain, when we take Maitri, when we take Maitri Bhavana, that is, this loving kindness, Arya loving kindness, and also chanting of certain gathas. The way I see it, because my opinion, like almost a year ago, was that this is something which is optional, Vage. But now, in the past few months, I've begun to see that this is something almost extremely essential, to like going forward. But if you can explain the science behind that, like how it's going to help us in our minds and going forward, that would be great.
Yeah. So this part is inside this Kusal part, right? So the Arya Maitri, Arya love and kind meditation, or even things like chanting of the good characteristics of Buddha, or any other karmasthana, or different chantings. I think these are the things that you can use as tools, right? So these are the tools that you that would enable you to build very, very strong kusal chitta, very, very strong kusal minds. Because so these, if you take love and kind meditation of Arya, because you don't expect anything in that meditation, right? You purely distribute whatever the energy that you have, or whatever the blessings that you have, to all the living beings, to have a better life, like to end suffering one day in different sense. Likewise, you purely do that without expecting anything. So that's a very powerful kusal chitta. So you in day-to-day life, you do different things, right? You watch TV, you watch movies, you play games, you party, you do different things. But comparatively, if you can put half an hour or 1 hour from one of your day to do this love and kind meditation of Arya, that would fill your life with a very, very powerful kusal chitta throughout 60 minutes. That's really powerful. And then there's one thing that most of us don't understand, is that the energy. So there is something called frequency, right? So in your mind also there's a frequency. So if your frequency, you would have you have learned about the radio signals, right? If you want to listen to some radio channel, you would need to fine tune it. You have to tune it to a particular frequency. Then that signals from that radio channel would be received. Likewise, in your mind also, there is this frequency. You can, particularly by doing certain act, doing a particular process, you can tune this frequency. So this Maitri, or the kindness, love and kind meditation, or the thinking or the chanting of the good characteristics of Lord Buddha, or maybe the Dhamma, maybe the Sangha, or maybe any other recital. So these would enable to like tune your mind to a frequency which is resonating with the energy of Buddha, energy of the Nibbana. So Nibbana is something very complex which I can't explain in words. But at least you should know there is something called energy of Buddha, which is a very pure one. So we are getting closer and closer to that Buddha energy when you do these things. So then your path can get very, very smooth. So if you want to cross the jungle, so there are a lot of trees, bushes, and all the animals and all the stuff, right? So you can go in the path with your hands only. By getting hurt, by trying to remove the bushes, you get hurt. Likewise, you can go through the path. But there is this great way of doing kusal, like you said rightly, the kindness meditation, the ara kindness meditation, the buddhuguna, the Dham guna, the Sangha guna, and whatever the other chanting. So maybe you chant a specific sutta, right? Like for example, the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, or the Girimananda Sutta, or the Mahasatipattana Sutta, or whatever the great suttas. So when you recital these things with the meaning, or even without the meaning, if you do with the meaning, the effect is more. You get into that frequency of light. You get into that frequency where, for example, if you take Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, this is the frequency when the world is being revealed with the truth for the first time after eons. After eons, this is the particular sutta which reveals the real truth of the world to the world. So these sutras, if you can recite and to understand the meaning, think about the meaning, meditate about the meaning, then you are getting into a range of frequency, a spectrum of frequency where you are resonating with energy which is closer to the Buddha energy. So this is a very powerful kusal chitta. This is a very powerful chitta without any expectation, with resonating with this Buddha energy. So these could act upon in your path in a very big way to gain the prajna soon. So these strong kusal would yield you in having greater wisdom, greater prajna, so that you build, as I said earlier in this discussion, I said about the sequential process, right? From the non-disturbed chitta to coming into the samadhi, to the prajna, to the vidya. So your process becomes very smooth, and you would get a very good pull through this if you are connecting into this Buddha energy, the Arya Maitri energy, the love and kindness energy, which is not expecting anything for you. It is a purely a kusal karma. It would be a very powerful kusal karma, which would put your mind into a particular state where you can absorb this prajna. So that is why this is important, Osita. So that is why you would have experienced this. That's why you are thinking about it. If someone has not done this, because I'm someone who initially didn't like a lot of these kind of things, like the chantings and the worships and all the stuff, right? But latterly, I started doing them because of different reasons. But I am someone who have experienced that all these real powerful kusal chitta or real powerful kusal minds can help you to gain more and prajna, more prajna. I've seen a lot of people who I have talked, who I've discussed like this, who have initially resisted but have benefited a lot through these recitals or the meditations, the kindness meditation and all those stuff, right? So I think it's really important if you think that your ultimate goal is to end suffering. If you think that, I think it's okay, right? It's not harmful to try. It's a good thing. So if someone is not having those things in your daily routine, like our love and kind meditation, or maybe chanting of Buddha Guna, or chanting of the sutta like Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra, or reading those things, understanding those things, or maybe to do any puja or the offerings to Sangha, or to do offerings to the Buddha, or likewise, all this powerful karma, powerful kusal karma would yield you a very comfortable path, which would gain you a lot of prajna. So there are great great sangha that we have heard in the history of Buddha Sasana, who have understood things through only four phrase gatha, or four phrase like it's just, so they are called ekadhammasari. It's like only one dhamma that person needs. The prajna or the wisdom is so powerful, so that that person only needs one particular sentence to understand the truth. So likewise, if you start building these powerful chitta, the powerful kusal chitta, you would build that prajna. You will build that wisdom to understand the real world through the eyes of prajna, through eyes of vidya, sooner than you expect. So that is a real important point. If your ultimate goal is to eliminate the creation process of dukkha, creation process of bhava, so that you finish this chakra of creation process of dukkha.
Thank you, Ayya.
Was it clear? Was it there?
Yes, it was very clear. And does anyone have any other questions to add to this? If you are not comfortable, you can again type in chit chat. If you are not comfortable, yeah.
I want to ask one question. This may sound like a bit of a dumb question, but Aya said that he said something in the lines of turning merits into doing merits and turning merits into kusal.
Yeah.
What does that exactly mean, Aya?
No, that is yeah. It's like that. You do merits, like for example, you give a rice packet or some present to someone, right? Someone who's in need, right? So then you expect things in return. You expect, or maybe I'll have a deva bhava, or maybe I'll also in a need I will get something like this. So this is called merit, right? So you would probably, you would at least expect fame, or the good name, or maybe satisfaction for yourself. Something you would sorry.
So what if you direct intention towards Nibbana or ending suffering?
That is called kusal. So that's why I was mentioning, when you do that kind of a karma, and you think about ending suffering, that would become a kusal. So that's why I mentioned converting an action from merit to a kusal. So you can do the same action but with different intentions, so that it would be classified either as a merit or an kusal. So kusal is in the path. Kusal is superior than merits. Kusal can yield prajna. Merits can yield some amount of prajna, but the direct implication of the merit would be a different thing. So if you do good things and expect different good things, you might get a deva bhava. If you are someone who's giving a lot, you would definitely have a deva bhava in the next life. But if you do that and don't expect anything in return, and you think that only about the nibbana or the end of suffering, then that is a kusal, which is superior, a lot superior than merit, which would definitely help you in getting the prajna or the wisdom, or the progression of the path.
So like us thinking, us doing a merit, wanting something for ourselves, even if it's Nibbana, isn't that also wanting something for ourselves? Or it doesn't?
True. It's not 100% correct if I say that it's not expecting something. If you expect Nibbana, that's a good question. So that is something that you would understand when you are doing things. So if someone is thinking that if I do this kusal and expect Nibbana, that means that to obtain Nibbana, there should be someone, right? So there should be someone who is willing to have Nibbana or to end suffering or to do whatever. So this point is somewhere in a good progression if in the path, right? You understand that this process also would create bhava. This process is not purely kusal, right? So it's something that someone would understand by themselves. So if we can tell this, someone can understand that in just an understanding nature. But if you solely find it in your life experiences, if you when you do a kusal karma and if you think that okay, let me have the prajna through this kusal to understand Nibbana or the Dhamma or whatever, that also means that you are expecting something, right, in return. Not as gross as what you expected earlier, but that still isn't something that you are expecting. If you can see this in real time, in day-to-day life, whatever you do, you can, if you can have that awareness or the samadhi of mind and the speed of the mind, especially when you practice vidarsana, you have the speed of your mind, right? You have this awareness of your mind to see this in day-to-day life, to see when you do a kusal karma and you see if I do this, still I'm building a sansara, I'm building a self for myself, which would still is not a pure letting go, right? So if you can see this, that is the next step that you can take, right? So then that is when you have the real letting go. That is when you are starting experiencing. I would say it would be a very, very key milestone in your path. It's something towards the latter part of your path, but if you can see that in your real life, that is a very key milestone. I don't want to I can't classify them in the path where you are, but it is a very key milestone that I can say, because after that you slowly incrementally grow this percentage of your awareness that you can see this process. Even you expect Nibbana or Nivan or Kusal, so this particular part might be confusing for someone who's in the path. But if you are getting it purely clearly, only take it. If someone, because until you come to that point, these things is something is needed. You have to do this. You have to expect Nibbana. You have to expect suffering. That's when you come in this path. And at one point you realize that. So from that point, it's something very individual. After that, the realization is you can say it can be even without input from another one, even without input from a teacher, because you see the reality to the depth. How you build sansara, it's even if you call kusal, the real kusal, you will understand what is the real kusal. 100% kusal and 100% letting go. So then afterwards, then you can slowly figure out maybe to have, if you get some obstacles one phase, you can then discuss about that. But this milestone is a very key milestone. But if someone thinks that I should do kusal, I don't have the prajna to see this in real time, because if someone can't see that real time, that means that person needs prajna, that person needs courage, that person needs kusal or merits or whatever. So that person, if you can't see that real time in that depth, you should still do it. If you think that I should build my prajna, build my wisdom, build my kusal, that person should do it. That's when some desanas you get confused, right? You say that even you do this, that's something like this, but you don't have the prajna to absorb that. But then you get confused without doing anything. You just be like you were there, right? So then you don't move to the path. Neither you don't have the prajna to absorb anything. You get stagnant. But as you ask from me, I am saying if you from your inside, if you get this understanding or the prajna, I think that's a very key milestone in the path. And then afterwards, you can just think in that line wherever you get the awareness through this thinking pattern.
Right. I do kind of see that. And I also see in how, like, for an example, I wanted to, so there are these Swaminvanses who like live really far away, and during these days they may not have supplies, and I wanted to send them something, and in doing that, and also in my mind, thinking that okay, I'm gonna put my intention into making this a kusal, even in that thought, I felt a resistance. I don't know if I'm explaining it right.
Yeah, no, I can
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll-
So the other thing we need to understand is that the action is not the important thing. So this is a need. You can do it without expecting anything. Even the residual nature that you mentioned, the resistance is coming because even that resistance you can think, right? Why is this resistance? Because of loss of what is this resistance coming? You should be able to do that act because it's a good thing. It's something in need. If you have money, yeah.
No. I mean, what I mean by resistance is resistance to drive my intention towards the
The
making
kusal.
mana nivansata
Right.
labeva. So
Correct.
I felt like mitana like I don't know how to explain it, but itana aduak teruna mara.
Correct.
I don't know if I'm
You're correct. So
I just to add to that, isn't that also a bit tricky in the sense, because something I've noticed is there's also like people who give, but they want to give thinking, I'm the person who doesn't expect anything in return, but gives. So it depends exactly like where a person is on the path, but they can also think that itself is like this selfless kind of intention. But then I also feel like if you do that without the direction towards Nibbana, that is like a lot less. Because at that point, if you have, I feel like rather be this kind of selfless person, then that's like another bhava of thinking you are this person who is selfless. But in that moment, if you actually direct it to Nibbana, I feel like the Kusala energy going towards Nibbana through direction is more in that circumstance. It's a bit tricky, but
yeah, it's a bit tricky because I think you can't directly say, Usita, whether that is more towards the end of the path or not, because based on the intention or the real nature, because it's really hard, right? Only yourself would know. Even yourself might not know the exact intention of this. So might be someone after all the kusal and all the kusal chitta and all the nibbana chitta, the intention, if that person let go, that itself is nibbana, right? So purely if you let go that, but if you maintain something of a selfless person, then you only would know that if you are maintaining that. So it's a very tricky point because the last bit of this is very very fine, right? It's like a tuning a analog radio. You just need to understand whether you are falling to this end or that end. So in Dhamma it said that you have to understand whether you are falling into one end, and if you even without the end, you should in the mid also you have to get rid of that mid. So it's a very tricky point. Only yourself through vidarsana could understand the current state of your mind, current state of intention of your action. So if someone is expecting nibbana through one act, and then that person understand, if you expect that nibbana also through that act as and something who would create the bhava, then that person would without maintaining anything, that person could let go that thing, right? And then just to do that act. So that is not an issue. So that is the thing that should happen. But as you rightly said, Dusita, there could be some person who would be maintaining because they know by theory you should not get cling to this. So then he or she would try to maintain that through not expecting something. So that is also the expectation, right? So that is also a state of self. So that is also creating tanha, upadana, bhava, hence dukkha. So it is really important to by yourself understand the real intention. If you don't have any intention, yeah.
Can I just add? So what I felt was not that I wanted to maintain the selfless identity, because whenever I do something, I almost mechanically I've been directing it towards ending suffering. Here, what happened was when I was trying to do that, when I was trying to direct my intention, it felt like I was adding something to myself. That's how I. That's how I. That's kind of how I felt. That's basically all I felt. Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. I think because that is the sense, that is the feeling that you create the self again, right? Something additional,
Correct.
incremental thing to yourself, which is
Yeah.
yielding in bhava and dukkha. So that is really correct. That is the way of thinking is really correct. And just you keep doing these things and understand in real life how you can see this through, see this transparently through your mind, and then it is not something that by force you let go of that thing. It is
Yeah.
something which would happen unintentionally.
So basically, watch the process as I do. Yeah.
Exactly. What the process? If you want to read about this, I mentioned about, I think in a previous desana or a discussion, I mentioned about this Mahasatipatthana Sutra. If someone is fine to read and understands the translation, I think that is something that would really help, because this explains about the exact thing. From Kayanupassana to Vedananupassana to Chittanupassana to Dhammanupassana, it describes about the process. It's about observing the process. It's about not creating self through the process. It's just observing the process and understand. If you even start wanting to understand the process itself, it starts the process again. It's just the observing at the end.
Wow, that's deep. Thank you, Arya.
Yeah. Welcome.
Anyone else has any question? Okay, then we can move on to the meditation, but or should we speak on more of what of the last conversation? Aya? What do you think? Do you think it's better to move to like a meditation, or since we got into a bit of that other topic also, do you want to explore that a bit further? Or?
No, I think kind of in an information sense, I think we discussed a lot today.
Yeah.
I think if someone needs to absorb that, I think I think it's the right place to live. I think to understand, because we touched a different dimension through the question. So I think thanks for that. I think the questions makes the discussions more fruitful. So I think from like we started from the breath, we started from the process from start to end, and then we touched a little bit of a deeper part towards the end. So I think in terms of information, this is enough. I'm not sure whether how we are doing on the time, whether we have overrun. So whether we have time